All right, ladies and gentlemen, what a great photo we have here. What a striking photo. The little trophy prize, the Jewish trophy prize. Macron was wearing sunglasses. Yeah, he's got an eye injury. He wanted to mog people. He looked ridiculous in those sunglasses, Macron. JD Vance's new kid. Yeah, I heard about that announcement. The Europeans are going ballistic over this. It's quite, I mean, maybe it's just my timeline, but it's quite entertaining to see. These people are going crazy. This is not even within their sphere of influence, and it's loosely tied to one of their very small countries. This is not even like, I mean, they're about to lose Greenland anyways for nothing because Greenland's going to become fully independent. They're acting like it's this crazy crisis. It's completely insane. It's irrational. It's what it is. Is Trudeau still dating Katy Perry? I thought they already broke up. Maybe that was another celebrity couple. Sup, bro? But yeah, I'll just be reacting to some of this stuff probably tonight. Greenland is a last stand for them. No, I just think it's a way for them to hate Trump and go against Trump because it pays to do that in Europe. All those Europeans hate him. He's got an extremely low approval rating. You know, there's a difference between Trump and any Democrat. He prioritizes the United States interest significantly above anyone else. That's a problem for Europe. You know, Europe wants there to be this partnership where we're constantly giving them stuff, we're constantly appeasing them. When that doesn't happen, they're going to be angry about it. So they're angry, but they're acting completely irrational. Alberta here. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens with Alberta, maybe possibly becoming independent. You guys will have a chance to democratically vote for independence. I don't know if it's going to succeed. I know there's been a lot of talk of it. There's big rallies going on within Alberta. And you know what? That would be interesting if you guys became independent. I have a inkling that it's probably not going to happen, but you never know. Lady at Davos speaking about India. I mean, yeah, I think it's all kind of ridiculous. I mean, a lot of these countries are trying to act like really the European Union and Canada, and they're trying to make this pivot to isolate the United States. But that's the way I see it. So they're saying, well, if Trump doesn't want to play ball, if Trump doesn't want to be nice to us, we're going to do deals with India. And I mean, the United States has deals with all these countries too. I don't really see what the threat is here. I mean, it's not. You want to do a deal with India, then do a deal with India. I don't just okay, that's great. It doesn't really. It's not the United States as long as we have the world's biggest military, the most expensive military, the fact that the reserve currency is staying because so many people keep USD in their reserves. It's not really gonna matter. Miami lost. Yeah, Miami lost. I mean, it was a good game. It's a good game. You give credit to Indiana. It's definitely a noble champion. What did they go 16-0? So they were very good this year. They were the best team. The best team won this year. Any libs in your family? I mean, maybe a few, but they're not really all that passionate. It's not like there's a young liberal that's really angry with me or anything. Greenlanders are getting super excited that they are rich in minerals, but they have to realize U.S. investment makes it real. Yeah, no, because I saw some lady talking up this huge thing. I don't know if it was an actual Greenland resident that got me annoyed because they were acting like they're this massively rich country and that's why the U.S. wants it. Lady, the country is worthless. You know how much it costs to mine for those minerals. You know, for the United States, it's not even like it's this major amazing thing for us to acquire Greenland because what we can get all your minerals. You know, it's going to take massive investment in infrastructure to be able to extract those and upfront cost to where we're probably not even breaking even within 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. Like people think it's like this easy thing. Oh, and Trump has said it's not even about the minerals. I mean, the minerals may end up being a serious part when looking back 30 or 40 years down the line. But in the immediate purchasing of Greenland, you're not really going to look at the minerals because it takes time for them to be mined and to actually be able to refine them and extract value from them. It's going to take a while to do that. China owns a uranium mine in Greenland. Yeah, China really wants to get involved with Greenland. I mean, that is a serious thing. They don't want to take it over, but they want to be meddling and they want to have some level of influence within the region. And so that's a reason that Trump can use to justify wanting Greenland. But I find this whole thing to be hilarious because I followed this Greenland story for a while, and now to see all these people like little fish just start shrimping in and just, I mean, they're just obsessed with Greenland all of a sudden. Like, is it really this big of a deal? Like, we've said that Trump wants Greenland. It's a fucking glacier sheet, right? I don't understand what. But again, this is because they just hate Trump so much. If Greenland was located right above Denmark within Europe, I would be like, I'd be like, that's a tough pull. That's going to be a tough one. But based off of its location, I think so much of this it's just over embellishment, is what it is. They called the government crazy for buying Alaska. Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. This would be maybe a little bit different because, technically we can build bases. That's the other thing that you can kind of point to. It's like, these people are acting like the United States are these disgusting fascists and they don't want anything to do with us. Then why can we station military on Greenland right now? Why would they not kick us off? This is insane. So we have to defend Greenland, but we don't get to own it. I think that's a point to make as well. The U.S. basically already owns it. There's already forces on Greenland. If there's a U.S. military base on Greenland, they act like we're doing this as a noble thing by giving you a base. Yeah, it's just a deterrent so nobody invades the country. Why do you think all these European countries like when U.S. bases are put in their countries? You think, oh, this is such an amazing thing for the United States to have all this influence. Really, it's collateral for the United States to where if one of our bases gets hit, now we have to be involved in a conflict in Europe. It's not even that, there's problems with having bases all over the world. But these countries love it because then the U.S. military will be involved if Russia does something and they hit a U.S. base. The Greenland thing has you worried about midterms. Yeah, I don't really. I think the Greenland thing will be solved well before the midterms. The midterms are going to be all about the economy. That's how it is, and whether or not Republicans show up. I've been hearing very distressing things about the gerrymandering problem. These liberals are now starting to. That's what these liberals cried for like 5 months that Republicans were gerrymandering everything. They're gonna have like the gerrymandering advantage apparently, but the Republicans are gonna be able to get 3 or 4 seats in Florida that may turn it. That's happening maybe in April or May. I saw that's what DeSantis was saying or someone in Florida was saying, but. Yeah, the gerrymandering didn't even end up being a positive. Maybe it's like 1 or 2 seats positive now because they're gerrymandering in all these states, these Democratic states. Jake Paul with Trump. Well, they were at the national championship game. So I don't know. I mean, it's just an influencer. What do you mean Greenland will be solved by midterms? Will Trump acquire by then? I know. I think it'll be solved way before midterms, to where it's not a story with when it comes to the midterms, meaning it'll be solved within the next month or so. Whatever the Greenland ordeal, I think will be solved within the next few months. Because if it's solved by like March, I mean, you've got all those months before the midterms. It's not. It's going to be a non-story in the midterms. It's going to be a non-factor. I mean, if it leaks into like April, May, June, then maybe. But even then, I mean, people have such short attention spans, and it's kind of just an over. When it comes to these votes and the narrative surrounding it, I mean, we don't know because we saw in 2022 Roe v. Wade was in the summer, so there could be something that happens in the summer that might cause the midterms to go a certain way. But I don't think it's going to be Greenland unless he does like a military invasion, which I don't think he's going to do. Supreme Court overturning via yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens with that. There weren't they ruling on it, the Voting Rights Act, and then potentially. But the problem is now you might be looking at a timing issue in terms of changing some of those the way those lines are drawn in the South, because that really does help the Democrats. I mean, it is you're gerrymandering Republican districts into Democratic districts in Republican states. But I do wonder if the ruling on what the VRA, if it becomes a problem in terms of timing for the 2026 midterms, because at a certain time, they have to have the congressional lines drawn. I mean, they've been taking forever to rule on this tariff. I mean, this has gone on for months now, where there's no actual ruling. So who knows with that? They need massive counseling. Yeah, well, they were making fun of Americans. I saw in a TikTok with the fentanyl. But yeah, I mean, they do have rampant alcoholism there on Greenland and suicide rates and stuff. I mean, it's a very cold climate. I mean, but the thing is, it's like it's such a small amount of people. Yeah, selling of the islands. I know that deal that you're talking about. Well, I think he's saying it now because he wants ammunition. He wants justification for Greenland. I think that's probably why he's saying it. But I think he should just really talk about the fact that this doesn't really make much sense. If we already have military bases and we basically control the defense of Greenland, why would we not just own it outright? It just does. And for, I mean, I would want to negotiate directly with Denmark and Greenland because I think that's really the play. You bring these other EU countries into it. Trump threatens all these tariffs, and now it turns into this financial problem with all these fucking financial people, and they just bitch and moan. And whenever the market goes down 0.01%, they like cry all day. And they're like, well, this is because of Greenland. Oh, great. Now we have to deal with this. I think it was because of Japan's bond yield or something. That's what Besant said, but Trump is threatening these tariffs on these countries because Greenland has not been acquired yet, and then the market goes down a few points, and then you get all these financial people bitching about it. They'll just cry about any time the market goes down by 3 or like 1 or 2%, like Nvidia goes down 4%. It's just like, but that's why that's the problem with bringing tariffs into it, because then it spooks the markets. It's another Hong Kong situation. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting to see the sale of an island, or I think it's a group of islands, is what it is. The geography of it, but there was some talk about Gibraltar, I think, as well. I don't know if it was reassigned or something. If they're interested in selling islands, I wonder if they'd be interested in selling the Falkland Islands. I doubt it. Like east of South America. Yeah, I haven't seen a ton of the clips coming out of Davos, but I saw the Macron stuff where Macron is just these countries are trying to do this pivot to where they want you can tell exactly what it is. They're not happy with Trump, so they want to basically force this narrative that America is isolating themselves from the world stage because Trump is evil, an evil fascist. That's exactly what they're doing. We're going to do a deal with India. Canada's like, we're going to do a deal with China. Okay, go ahead. We do deals with China too. Like, I mean, you're going to have to trade with us. It's undeniable. The country is just too big of a, we have too big of a consumer base. You're going to pivot to China, really? Will the UK accept payment for Gibraltar? No, I remember Gibraltar from World War II, but I just saw a video that they might be giving up Gibraltar, or Gibraltar was reassigned to maybe another country or something. I'd have to look into it. Yeah, they still have a lot of islands from their colonial days. Maybe they sell them to us. I don't know if they're that obsessed with giving them up. I mean, I would like the Falkland Islands just because of the location of it, but I don't know the exact if it would be worth it to buy it. Iceland, yeah, Iceland is well. Iceland's got 400K people. These countries are so small. Yeah, I don't think anything's gonna happen to Iceland. I don't think anything. But to me, this is insane. I really thought Trump potentially would have had an easier time at. My thought was that it wouldn't spread to the EU because this is really like an EU problem now. The Greenland thing. I mean, it's all of Europe. I mean, their identity is just hating Trump, and now they view. I mean, this is a country. Let's be very clear. The country is within the Western Hemisphere. Greenland is. A lot of these people, I saw people saying Trump can't take countries in Europe. The country's not in Europe. So I mean, but it has surprised me a little bit. I could understand them being angry if Trump tried to take Iceland based on its location because it's closer to Europe and it has a bigger population and it's more, it has more infrastructure. But Greenland is it's just like a real estate purchase basically. I mean, I would say what 99% of the country is probably you can't even it's probably uninhabitable or at least 95% of it. I mean, you're buying basically a tundra and it's this huge crazy thing like you can't do that. And that's the other thing is Trump has been like we're going to prepare an offer so he wants to do it peacefully. Realistically, he could just take it over. And honestly, I don't really know what would happen with military. I think they're completely bluffing. I don't think they would destroy their relationship with the United States over it. I would be shocked if they did. It would be a big risk for Trump to do that. I'd be shocked. These countries are so delusional with Trump. They really are. Why are people mad at Trump exposing Macron's texts? Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. I just don't think Trump really cares, but I mean, I was surprised. Normally that stuff, it's a personal text message between the world leaders. You're probably not supposed to share that. Let's be real, but I mean, it's kind of cool to look under the hood and see something like that for a normal person. But I mean, it was just, and you see Macron. I mean, this is the French. They're like, we don't know what you're doing with Greenland. It's none of your business. Are you Denmark? Like, what does it matter? But you see, they've made it an EU problem. It's all the EU countries now. But I don't even think it's the thing is like this is not even like EU is fighting for sphere of influence. They just hate Trump because they're already going to lose Greenland because Greenland's trending to becoming fully autonomous anyways. Now maybe they do a deal with the EU, Greenland that is, and maybe that something gets worked out to where they become fully autonomous, but they still have a deal with the EU. I mean that could happen. Win-win-win situation. It's a win. Yeah, you're right. It is a win-win-win situation for the U.S., but it's a lose for the EU. It's a win-win-win for the U.S., Denmark, Greenland, but then it's a lose for the EU because they lose the sphere of influence. Because then it's the U.S. takes it, the EU gets no influence in there. They still have their influence via Denmark. So that's why this has really turned into the EU has kind of I feel like the EU has hijacked Danish politics with this. I internally, I don't know the situation within Denmark, but wouldn't there be an argument like, I mean, what is the payment structure? Is it really $700 billion? What is their economy? What is their GDP? That has to be a serious infusion for them. Why would their citizens not say, this is amazing? We could lower our taxes. We could build things. And they're losing money every year on Greenland because they have to subsidize it. So you goes from losing money every year to getting $700 billion in a payment plan. Where is the Danish internal politics and politicians saying this is actually a really good idea? Hell, you could even say Trump is delusional for wanting Greenland because we already have military bases there. Why would you not want to get something for Greenland? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. I don't even think Denmark operates as like an independent country. From a U.S. perspective, it's like Denmark is just part of this massive EU conglomerate. That's the way they appear diplomatically. Would you pay $1 trillion if that was the only way? Well, if they're offering 700 billion, I mean, I think it's kind of ridiculous. I was thinking like 30 or 40 billion, honestly. That's the thing. It's like, it's one of those things to where it's a courtesy we're giving you money. Let's be real. But you do it because you don't want to, because if you do really anger the European countries, everybody loses, because then it could start a cascade effect, and there could be problems with, them trying to purposefully tank the U.S. economy by dumping things and stuff like that. I mean, I guess if there's a negotiation and there's a plan, I mean, the thing is with $1 trillion, you look at it, our debt payment was $1 trillion this past year, and I'm not saying that's a good thing, but that's just to service the debt. It was $1 trillion. So again, it's not a good thing, but it just puts into perspective that our overall deficit is over double $1 trillion. It's like 2.2 trillion. I don't know what it exactly is. 100K per citizen. I think that's going to be very cheap in comparison to whatever they have to pay Denmark, if it's 100K or 50K or whatever it is. Denmark gets a ton of cash. Greenland. That's the thing is the EU has hijacked the conversation. There is no we're not negotiating with the EU. We have no. I don't know why Macron is talking. If Macron messages me, I'm like, what are you talking about? You have no business with Greenland at all. We're negotiating to acquire Greenland legally and peacefully. But there's no reason I'm talking to you about Greenland. It's not your business. It's really the business of Denmark and Greenland themselves. But they've manipulated the entire situation. The people of Greenland now, they're super anti-Trump, and it doesn't really matter if it's 50,000 people. I don't think it really does, honestly. I mean, you just have to convince their officials. It's such a small amount of people. Thoughts on Trump's Peace League? Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of the European countries think it's some type of trap to where it's like pro-Russia, so they don't want to join it. But I would have to really look into it to see. But these European countries don't want to join this Peace League that Trump is trying to put together. So we'll have to see. If the U.S. takes Greenland, does China take Taiwan? It doesn't really have an effect on it. And it's not even realistically justifiable because there's serious differences between the countries of Greenland and Taiwan in terms of their GDP, their infrastructure, their population, their military power. They're just completely different situations. So I would say that those are different. And also for China, it's more of a timing thing. China's ultimate justification, if they really wanted to wait for a global event to invade Taiwan, would be the Russian invasion of Ukraine. They didn't do anything. I think for them, it's more timing versus another geopolitical event happening. Because again, if they really wanted full justification for an invasion of Taiwan, I think they would just invade after Russia invaded the Ukraine. Whatever intel Pentagon has on Arctic-based weapons has to be frightening. Yeah. Well, it's the U.S. did have like an underground military base in Greenland that they ended up abandoning after World War II, I believe, and They're going to be expanding their Arctic fleet. They're going to be investing heavily into icebreakers. This is going to be a big thing. How about this idiot I saw in a video? You know, these like right wing people, but they're establishment right wing, I think. He's like, well, Trump's a retard. He's stupid. He doesn't know what he's talking about. They keep talking about this shipping lane, this shipping path for trade that doesn't exist. Yeah, that the point of it is you buy it and the ice melts, and they anticipate the shipping lane like going right over the North Pole almost, right over the top of the world in the curvature, and they expect it to possibly be operational with icebreakers possibly in 30 or 40 years. That's the reason you acquire it now. You know, everybody knew that the Arctic was getting more and more valuable. Now Trump wants to act before the real estate gets extremely expensive and people have this huge issue. Why can't Trump just focus on himself? I don't know what that means. I mean, he's the president. There's geopolitical problems. There's domestic problems. Piers Morgan wants to boycott the World Cup. Piers Morgan said the UK should buy the United States. They said, well, technically the United Kingdom owns the United States. They were birthed from us. Well, the American Revolution made the United States independent. Now the United States is way more powerful than the UK. Piers Morgan is, some of these Brits are power hungry. They just don't have the military to seize the amount of hunger they have. A lot of these Brits now are becoming imperialistic. They're saying, wait a second, you just can't take countries. We're taking your country, or they're going to try and take another country. They don't have the power to do it. So Piers Morgan gets up and says, fuck you. We're going to take America. We're going to buy America as a joke. But still, they know that Trump is doing this. It's a one-up. It's sphere of influence. It's control. Trump wants Greenland. It's not a, there's no trade deals. We're not doing a trade deal. All right. Enough with the fucking trade deals. They're like, well, they're going to negotiate a trade deal. It's enough with the trade deals. We're done with trade deals. How many times do we have to talk about trade deals? Just we want the island. We want the territory, not a trade deal. But that's obviously something that would have to, because if the countries really aren't budging, what does Trump have to do to force the sale? I don't know. I'm not sure exactly. I mean, ideally, you would just negotiate with Denmark and Greenland directly. But honestly, Denmark wouldn't. You would think there would be this attraction to getting rid of Greenland before they become independent, so you can get something for them. I'm being honest. It's just like a sport, like a player. If you have a player under contract for 1.5 more years, and it's the trade deadline, and the player is going to leave, and he's having a really good season, you offload him for future assets. I mean, this is like, the thing is I don't even know what's happening within local Danish politics, because I would figure that they would be arguing that, but maybe it's just like, do the citizens even think that owning Greenland does anything for them? Like the Danish citizens. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe they think it does something geopolitically. Maybe. I mean, it can't be like, oh, they go to Greenland on vacation. That can't be it. Yeah, Piers Morgan took a hard fall. When you get older, man, you just break down. Piers Morgan, he said he slipped on a little stair going to a restaurant, going inside of a restaurant, and he's going to be out for like 6 weeks. His hip has to be replaced. I mean, it's escalation. China sent 70K altitude WZ-7 drone in Taiwan's island airspace. Well, they've been doing that. There's a lot of encroachment in military exercises around Taiwan. I wouldn't really be worried about that. I mean, inevitably there's going to be some type of military action, but they've had military exercises surrounding Taiwan for years now. Do you think the EU is all talk with threats? Yeah, I mean, I think they mainly are all talk, because I don't think they have the power to really do anything. Now, I mean, if Trump did something militarily, it might be a bit different. But even then, I feel like they're all talk. I just don't think they're going to destroy their relationship with the U.S. But the other thing is they could be banking on a liberal entering, you know, in 2020, in 2028, 2029. So they could say, well, we can destroy our relationship for these 2 years, and then when a liberal enters, we'll just rekindle it. I mean, they need the U.S. They need the military support. You like them doing these deals with China. You want to get into bed with China, really? I mean, China is a more powerful entity than any of those countries as well, just like the United States. But you're going to get into bed with an Eastern country? I don't see it. To me, that's just cope because they know the U.S. is really their sugar daddy. So they try and like say, well, we can just go to another country and you'll be isolated. That's really the only argument they have is isolation. It's just not feasible for them. Thoughts on Trump saying he is no longer thinking about peace since Norway snubbed him from his prize? Yeah, I think he's got to stop with that. The Nobel Prize stuff. It has gotten to a point where it's weird. I mean, it's like, look, I don't know what to. I'm bleeding. It's like I don't know what to tell you. You know, they gave the prize to the woman. You know how these things are. You know, he said it's decided by Norway. Of course, Norway's not going to give Trump the prize. It's bullshit. They give Obama the prize. These European countries hate Trump. Anything Trump does, they're going to be against it, unless it somehow benefits them. Unless it's a check for Ukraine, they're going to be against it. I mean, this is. But Trump should know this. They're going to screw him out of any prize they can. This is not surprising. And then, of course, they're going to say, well, Trump is delusional and evil and he has to steal the prize from this woman. And it's like, he should have won the prize in the first place. They didn't give it to him because they hate him. Because they irrationally hate him. But now it makes him look bad because he takes it from this woman. It's like, all right, see, this is the problem. This is the image problem we have with Trump. How about these euros? They're like, well, you don't pay to the actual NATO budget. Oh my god. Do you know what a defense agreement does? Do you know it's a deterrence? You understand if the US has a $1 trillion budget, that's a deterrence. There's no country in the world that wants to engage a NATO country because they're going to have to face the US military. It's the best deterrent in the world. NATO is a defense agreement. The best defense in the world is a $1 trillion military budget. These people are delusional. They say the US pays 16% to NATO. That's irrelevant. The actual payments to NATO are completely irrelevant. That's not even what NATO is for. It's for defense and deterrence. The way you create deterrence is by having a massive army and military to where countries don't want to fight. They're not going to want to fight a country that has a defense agreement with the United States. These people don't know what a defense budget or what a deterrence is. It's not even Greenland. I mean, dude, like Greenland is causing this for the market, really? It's just an acquisition. I don't really. I mean, I guess because he threatened the tariffs, but even then, this is mainly Japan. It's Japan's markets and their bonds and what they've been doing. I think that's the reason the markets are like what they are. I mean, Greenland, I think, has very little to do with it. Greenland's just an acquisition. Yeah, I do like Chick-fil-A, I'll be honest. I do eat Chick-fil-A a decent amount. The GDP of the US is larger than all of Europe combined minus Russia. Oh, it's insane. And GDP isn't everything. It's not the only measurement of country strength or health, but it's certainly a big one. It's the overall full package. Sell your crypto, buy gold and silver. Well, if you want to get into a safe asset, that's what you would do. But I wouldn't. I mean, oof, that's a tough one. I don't know what crypto. I don't know what coins. Are you just in Bitcoin? I would just keep the Bitcoin over gold and silver. Keep the Bitcoin, keep the Ethereum, keep the Solana. I don't know. There's a lot of people that like Monero, the privacy coin. It's been doing well, but I mean, Monero is a extremely high market cap coin. What are you really gonna make off of that? what's happening in Japan. Something about their bond market, maybe the yields, maybe their 10-year yield is going out of control or something. Gold and silver are real and guaranteed in 20. Yeah, but that's not really, it doesn't really matter. I mean, Bitcoin is not really a risk anymore. I don't really view Bitcoin as a risk. I think Bitcoin is probably one of the safer. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be in stocks. I mean, I would say stocks and Bitcoin, if it, like a normie investment portfolio, is probably look something like that. I don't think there's. I mean, if you want to hold, just hold value, then yeah, buying gold is not a bad. If you want to hold physical value or store it somewhere, buying gold is not a bad option. But you're not buying gold to get rich or even increase. I mean, because you're buying gold at a crazy, 30 trillion dollar market cap. I don't really know what it's going to do to go much higher than that. I mean, it'll keep going up, but at a, I would say, a very slow rate. One line, Bitcoin is done. Yeah, but the laws are going in the opposite direction. The governments have embraced Bitcoin throughout all the countries. I mean, I don't really see. I mean, laws could hamper Bitcoin, but we really can't destroy Bitcoin through a law. I mean, look at China's cryptos policies. Bitcoin's fine. Like it would be if a liberal government took power, it'd probably be bearish for crypto, but it wouldn't destroy crypto or anything. Congratulate JD Vance on the sex. Yeah, another. So they're their fourth kid. So yeah, that's pretty rare nowadays to have four kids. We don't even see that very often. Did CNN only hire Anderson Cooper because he's gay? Well, see, he was like part of CIA. Anderson Cooper. He's got a really weird story. The bond sell off panicked everyone. Yeah, that's it. It's the bond sell off. That's what it's something to do with the bonds or the yield, and that's what Besant was talking about. It doesn't have anything to do with Greenland. I mean, I guess you could kind of equate it to Greenland, but I mean, it's Tuesday. They announced the potential tariffs over the weekend. We would have seen a reaction on. Oh, it's because MLK Day. The markets were closed. Okay, well, yeah, then it probably is in part because of Greenland, because Trump threatened with the tariffs. I mean, it's probably a combination of it. Are we going to be looking at this? Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to move this along. I'll move this along. We'll get to some of this stuff. Bro, what the? Dude's like 4 foot. Oh, was this the dude out walking? Remember the clip of this guy? They said he was an SS officer. Dude, this dude was a baller. He was out walking. He was like, "Get out of my way." He took over Minneapolis. He like didn't have a coat on, but he goes out walking. He's like, "Oh no, he had a trench coat." He's like, "Get the fuck out of my way." And then liberals are like, "This is a Nazi officer." He's like, "Get the fuck out of my way." You see, Andrew Tate was on the PBD podcast. Yeah, I saw Andrew Tate. I think Andrew Tate was, I don't know if he was blackmailed or what with what he said. He said some really interesting stuff. It's like PBD and those guys, they tried to have a therapy session with Andrew Tate, and Andrew Tate was like, "Whoa, I did not play the Hitler song, and I didn't want it played, and all this." And Andrew Tate came to the United States. What was it? A year ago or like 10 months ago? DeSantis almost had him jailed. You have to wonder with the collateral that Andrew Tate has. They probably told him, "You need to apologize for this shit, for the club incident that he had." With Myron Gaines and Fuentes and Sneeko, and then he goes on this podcast with PBD and he's like, "Oh, I did not want to do that. I did not want to be a part of it." which is really uncharacteristic, if we're going to be honest about Andrew Tate. So it's interesting. Mark Cuban. Yeah, Mark Cuban's a bandwagon, but I mean, you give credit to Indiana. They've had a hell of a turnaround. They've had a hell of a turnaround, and people like that. You know, they say, well, any program can do it now.
Thank you, Mr. President. President Trump. Thank you, President Trump.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Go ahead, I'll take your question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead, right here.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised during your second inaugural to always put America first. I'm curious, how would you winning the Nobel Peace Prize improve the lives of average, everyday Americans? Why is this prize so important?
It wouldn't improve the lives of any, but what improved the lives of people are people that are living. I saved probably tens of millions of lives in the wars. You know, if you add up the numbers, just if you look at any one of those wars, you're talking about millions of people. You multiply it times 8. But when you look at India and Pakistan, that could have been 10, 15, 20 million people. Could have been more than that. So I saved millions of people. So that, to me, is the big thing.
Yeah, you talking about when Clavicular said, you want me to bring women over? Now, he knew it was going to be a terrible look, and the women at those clubs, it's not... That's not really the pinnacle. That's not what you're looking for. But, dude, I think it would have been worse if he said, yeah, bring women over. It would have been the most awkward thing ever for him if that happened.
The Panama Canal. I know we've heard a lot about Greenland. Is that still on the table?
I don't want to tell you that. Sort of. I must say, sort of. That's sort of.
Man, she got really giddy with that response. That's...
Okay, one more. Yeah.
Yeah, Trump obviously wants the Panama Canal Zone. I don't know if it's going to happen. Maybe that's next. I got to close this door. Nick shouldn't have put himself in that situation. Well, I mean that was a weird one with. I mean they said that was the Red Pill Avengers with that group.
Go ahead, go. Yes.
I want to ask you about Iran. Is the military option still on the table? And can you assure us that the killing in Iran has stopped? And when regard to the Peace Council, which members have to pay $1 billion?
So with Iran, are you from Iran?
No, I cover the White House.
Where are you from?
I'm Palestinian American.
So with Iran, they were going to hang 837 people. And I let them be known that, and we let them know that if that happens, that will be a very bad day for them. And they decided not to do it. They didn't hang the people. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the future, but supposedly they've taken that off the table. But they were going to, last week, they were going to hang on Thursday or Wednesday. They were going to hang, I think, 837 people. And they didn't hang anybody. So we're just going to have to see what happens.
We got this comment. 2022, 2024. I was 90s Jordan. Late 2025, 2026. I'm Wizards Jordan. So you're saying I'm washed? I mean, I don't really know. I mean, maybe it's gotten worse. I think a lot of it was because of the election, honestly. That was just because of the election, mainly, I think. Did you see that Sneeko was basically banned from any restaurant in Miami? Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, can they really do that? I'm not sure. They said he's banned from every, like, they said, oh, these hospitality places are owned by Jews and you're going to be banned from everywhere. I saw that, but I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, that's pretty insane if that's true. You're White Sox Michael Jordan. Bro, I'm gonna be White Sox Michael Jordan probably by the end of this year at this rate. I'm gonna be when am I gonna be gambling Michael Jordan? Golf course Michael? Golf course MJ. That'll be me in a year maybe. What's your take on Vance's new kid? I mean, it's congratulations to him. The 2023 era? Bro, what even was that era? It was just college football basically the entire time, I think. MJ was a horrible owner, bro. Of the Charlotte Bobcats and then the Hornets. You'd like to get back into my good graces. Yeah, that's fine, man. Yeah, I am surprised the amount of people that are talking about Vance having a kid, but I mean, I guess it's big news. Spectacular, what's up, man? You want the DG stories? Yeah, I'll do maybe a life update. How much influence do you think Fuentes actually has? Well, I think he has a lot more influence online than he does IRL. And, you know, what they do with Fuentes on all of his posts is they basically rate him, I believe. It's kind of like, if you know how Telegram has a relationship with meme coins, where whenever there's a tweet that gets sent out, it gets rated by a bunch of accounts on Telegram. I think they have people that raid Fuentes' tweets. I don't know. I wouldn't call it botting, but I think they have people that raid Fuentes' tweets to basically, and it's a propaganda thing. I mean, if you see Fuentes with all these tweets and they've got all these likes, and people are drawn to that, and that influences them. So I think his influence is more online. It's hard to say, but I think it's a lot more online. You took Miami. I know a lot of people took Miami. Yeah, Miami, they deserve to cover. I mean, Miami outgained Indiana in that game. Indiana got a block punt for a touchdown. So it was a good game, but I think Indiana's the better team, but Miami played well especially in the second half.
Inherited a country that was broken. We inherited a country, and I have a very warm spot. We've done very well with Venezuela, and by the way, that even in itself is going to help us bring down the oil prices. I mean, the Venezuelan oil, we've taken 50 million gallons of oil. We've taken 50 million barrels of oil out of Venezuela in the first 4 days. We've got millions of barrels of oil left. We're selling it on the open market. We're bringing down oil prices incredibly. And when they come down, and they've already come down, again, $1.99 a gallon for oil. Nobody thought they'd ever see it. All right, one or two more. Inherited a country that was broke.
Pepe, it's in progress. It's challenging. It's challenging. Haven't been up to date on politics. How's the sentiment around midterms? Like, I don't know about the midterms. I know the Republican. It's not good for Republicans. The sentiment is not good for Republicans. I'm gonna be honest, but this is how it is, unfortunately. The weirdest McDonald's video is like Jordan's 63-point game against the Celtics in 1986. The weirdest McDonald's video? You want Greenland clips? I do have to see. I was drinking lemonade. I have to take a piss, so I'll just play this.
A lot at the beginning of this about the economy, some positive economic indicators. Polling shows a majority of Americans don't feel the economy is doing well. Are you worried you're making the same mistake as President Biden by telling
No,
the
I hope I don't make the same mistake as him. Look, I inherited a terrible, it's a great question because we inherited a terrible, terrible mess between the border, between all the problems. The whole country was falling apart. And in 12 months, less than 12 months, in 12 months, we have the strongest border we've ever had. We have prices that are much, much lower than they were for the last. We inherited very high prices. We inherited, remember this, inflation was at a historic high. We had never had inflation like that. They say 48 years, but whether it's 48 years or ever, we had the highest inflation, in my opinion, that we've ever had. Prices, because of that, were very high. I inherited, we brought down eggs immediately. Remember the first news conference, they were screaming at me about eggs. I was in the position for 2 days, and we brought eggs down to lower than what they were before. And by the way, they continue that way. We brought the prices down from when I came into office and from what Biden had, way down. We're going to bring them down further. But the job we did is a miracle. One of the reasons I'm doing this today is to explain. We inherited a mess.
Ooh. Now, you were donating $1. I don't want you donating anymore. You're not allowed to donate at $2 anymore. Remember that? Or actually, you can donate. It's just not TTS. What's rent around where you are? I think rent is I mean, as long as you don't live in a major city, I think it's like 1,200 to 1,500 if I had to say. But obviously, if it's a bigger city, it's it's like 2,500 for just a 2-bedroom. Take on when the Iran war stops. Well, when that regime is gone, I mean, but even then it's going to be a dragged on saga because who replaces it? It creates a power vacuum. So it's going to be a saga. Listen, I think they're going to be acting on Iran pretty soon because you look at what analysts have been saying and stuff. They're going to be acting probably within a month, I would say. There's going to be some type of, the thing is if I could cover this event, because it's hard, you can't really cover the Greenland event, but you can cover things like Iran, and that would be good for my channel. When is there going to be a military event is the question, so I can cover it live, and then that's when I get the donations. $1,200 is insane. Yeah, 1,200 is even just like a normal like suburban city too. Not even the bigger cities. You pay $1,300 for your 1-bedroom apartment, and your cat is an extra $30 a month. You only pay electricity and Wi-Fi. 1-bedroom apartment. You're in like Illinois. That's brutal. $1,300 for 1 bedroom. I need at least 2-bedroom minimum because of an office, but preferably 3-bedroom, honestly, because of extracurricular activity. But at least 2-bedroom. I mean, it has to be because I have to have an office. I mean, what is the office going to be in the family room? I mean, it's like, it's freezing cold. The weather and listen, you can see exactly how it's setting up. The Ohio Valley and even lower, I'm not going to get hit with really anything. It's just going to be very cold this week, and it's going to be negative 10 degrees. But like Tennessee, West Virginia, even lower, probably like North Carolina, Virginia, Washington, D.C., they're getting like 16 inches of snow this week because there's a crazy dip in the jet stream, so it's cold enough, like legitimately cold enough for it to be snow in those areas, and it's going to be really cold in mine because I'm more north, so we're getting a lot of cold. Luckily, we're not getting any snow. So we get to avoid the snow, pretty much all of it, I think, unless the band moves north. We avoid a lot of the snow, but it's just going to be very cold. But I think it's going to be a mess for DC. There'll probably be a big story about that if they get 12 inches. I mean, DC, based on the climate, they don't get much snow anymore. They get 12, 16 inches. That'll be a big storm for them. Why do you think your World War II iceberg video flopped? You know, I think it's got to be an algorithm problem, honestly. Two-bedroom townhouse, $915 a month. Yeah, but that's probably reduced because it's on Ohio State's campus. They probably have different campus pricing. Gym equipment. Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. Why Greenland videos get so many views? Because it's a current event. You're going to be trapped in your apartment in Michigan? Yeah, in Michigan, it's probably even colder than it is here. You guys are more north. Depends, but it probably will be. Tim Pool? Yeah, I haven't really watched much of any Tim Pool. Saw the NBC coverage of this. They made him orange. They edited him to make him more orange. Probably. Yeah, I saw CNN. They cut away from it. You know, Trump takes questions for 2 hours, over 2 hours, whatever it is, and they cut away from it. And they're like, well, he lied about a lot of stuff. I mean, that's like the first thing they said. They said, well, he just lied a bunch. Okay.
With Kevin Hassett on that, or do you think you can do that unilaterally?
No, I don't think we would have to go the Congress route, but we'll find out. The reason we're even talking about it is that we have so much money coming in from tariffs that we'll be able to issue at least a $2,000 dividend and also pay down debt for the country. But we'd do a $2,000 dividend to the people of our country. Would probably set a limit of income limit where it made sense, but. We will be able to make a very substantial dividend to the people of our country. I believe we can do that without Congress.
Last night on Truth Social with Kevin Hassett on that, or do you think you can do that?
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't want to really give away anything.
You told Norway's prime minister.
Are you from Norway?
No.
You look like you would be from Norway. She looks like she's from Norway. Go ahead.
You told Norway's prime minister that you not winning the Nobel Peace Prize made you feel less obligated to think purely of peace.
Well, I lost a lot of respect for Norway. And
But why
I
would not
believe
winning that prize
very
affect-
strongly that Norway controls the Nobel Prize. But you have to understand, I settled 8 wars. I've had every one of those wars, every participant wrote, I didn't ask them to do it. They sent in strong they make recommendations for that. But I settled 8 wars. No president's probably ever settled 1 war. I don't know. Think of it. Yeah, right behind.
Thank you, Mr. President. How would you characterize your relationship with Emmanuel Macron and Keir Starmer right now? And have you spoken to them since your Truth Social post last
No, I
night?
haven't, but I think I get along very well with them. I mean, they always treat me well. They get a little bit rough when they're, when I'm not around. But when I'm around, they treat me very nicely.
Mr. President.
And, I like both of them. They're both liberal. They've got to straighten out their countries. You can't, London is having a lot of problems. And if you look at Paris, got a lot of problems. They have 2 problems, immigration and energy. Yeah, right behind.
Thank you, Mr.
Do you think Trump gets in his own way? His policy gets overshadowed by his antics sometimes? Yeah, he definitely obviously has an ego, and the Peace Prize stuff. It's not really. It's a weird obsession. I mean, I understand wanting to win an award, I guess, but these European countries are not going to like you, so I don't really. I know that 2 hours, a 2-hour press conference. I think a lot of it he talked just independently before he took questions, but he probably took like an hour worth of questions from the press. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, Trump obviously enjoys talking, right? You're not going to be the amount, even these press people that dislike him, they say he does a ridiculous amount of press and he takes a ridiculous amount of questions, whether that's on the Air Force One, whether that's doing some type of press conference deal, or they catch him before when he's on the tarmac or outside of the White House. He likes talking. He likes taking questions. That's just his personality. That's something that they've said. Yeah, the Paris Climate Accord. Trump withdrew the U.S. Biden put the U.S. back in. Trump has withdrawn. I think that's how it worked. Trump has withdrawn the U.S. again from the Climate Accord. The Climate Accord is just the U.S. giving poor countries money so they can buy clean energy. That's what it is. If you actually know what the Paris Climate Accord is. I mean, it's a pledge, but it's also subsidizing poor countries to give them clean energy tools, like giving them solar panels. That's what it is. Yeah, the Matt guy. I guess he didn't want to spend any money. I mean, I don't have anything against clean energy like Trump does, but that agreement doesn't make any sense because it's just giving poor countries, I guess, clean energy. I mean, but the U.S. is always going to have to contribute the most because if it's based off an average on your GDP, the U.S. is going to have to contribute the most. I don't really see that as a positive, especially with our debt. If India, China joined the accord and provided more money to it because they make the most pollution, do you think Trump would join again? Well, it's just really I don't think Trump would join now. I don't think Trump would join. Because it's really just a pledge to, have your CO2 emissions at a certain point and then also subsidizing poorer countries. I don't really Trump doesn't care about that, about the idea of global warming. So I don't think he would join anyways. How would you feel about using leaving NATO as leverage for Greenland? Yeah, I mean, it's an option on the table. I don't know how realistic they would treat a threat like that. You have to wonder because, those countries might think, well, Trump is just flailing. He's desperate, so he's putting out all these threats. I mean, that's always been an option to possibly try and do that. I just don't know if they really will take it seriously. I mean, with Trump, you kind of have to take it seriously no matter what, but there's also the thought of, well, Trump has a track record for putting out threats and then not backing them up and changing them and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's an option for him if they really don't want to do it. You could maybe threaten to leave NATO if you're not giving Greenland, possibly also a stipulation for a peace negotiation between Russia and Ukraine. Like it's like a collateral thing. If you give the United States Greenland, then we'll do some type of peace deal or something. I don't know. Green New Deal is a scam. Well, the Green New Deal might be a scam, but clean energy is not a scam. Energy extraction from the sun is there's not a scam. It's not a scam. It's just a different way to get energy. It's unlimited energy basically. There's a lot of propaganda against it because there's a lot of money in non-renewable energy. People are mad at this clip.
NATO has to treat us fairly, too. The big fear I have with NATO is we spend tremendous amounts of money with NATO. And I know we'll come to their rescue, but I just really do question whether or not they'll come to ours. I'm just asking. Just saying, right? You remember during the debate? Just saying. Signed $1 trillion investment.
Well, I mean, NATO the reason NATO is because of the United States. It's not because of the Europe. I mean, if you take the United States away, it's the European Union with the UK and with China, or with Canada. I mean, that's really what it is. How do you think solar panels get made? Yeah, but the shelf life of solar panels vastly outweighs the energy or the environment costs to make them. In essence, you're extracting so much more clean energy than the cost of energy it takes to make the panel. It's just energy extraction via the sun. That's just what it is. I mean, the sun is just a tremendous. The sun has just an insane amount of energy. If we could harness 1% of the energy, I mean, it would be. You have to harvest it some way. I mean, as your society advances, you've got to use other resources. The sun's an obvious resource, so it's going to be used. No, Vivek's not going to drop out. And it would be the Casey Putsch guy, I guess, is the one that's competing against Vivek. But they would find another. Maybe Jim Tressel would be the establishment guy that they would back. I think Jim Tressel would have a much better chance than Vivek, I'll tell you that, against Amy Acton. Vivek still might win, though. You don't know. Vivek's probably got a 50-50 shot. maybe a little bit better because Ohio is more conservative, but it's an off year, so Trump's not on the ballot. So you have to be worried about people coming out to vote. Even though Ohio's probably skews more conservative in a midterm year that is coming off a Republican victory in the general, and you've also got Ramaswamy, who's kind of disliked by a lot of independents in Ohio. It's going to produce possibly a bad outcome. I mean, I think it's going to be a close race. I think Ramaswamy can win, but it's going to be a close race, I would say, because Acton is not a good politician. NATO is mad because Trump is making them buy weapons for Ukraine, not giving them away to Zelensky. Yeah, that is a stipulation he put in, and they sell them now to Europe, and then Europe gives them to Ukraine, basically. Any thoughts about what Pacific allied countries view the whole Greenland situation? You mostly asked because honestly, it seems like they've been more quiet than they've been way more quiet. But it's also, Europe views Greenland as theirs. That it's evident at this point. Despite its location, they view Greenland as theirs. So, but yeah, I haven't seen anything from Pacific countries. What, like Japan, South Korea? I haven't heard anything. There's been no talk. This has become the EU thing, and I didn't think it was even going to turn into an EU thing. I thought it was just going to be a negotiation between three countries or something like that. But obviously, it's become an EU thing. But the thing is I don't even think these arguments like you're going to fight for Greenland. Greenland is going to become independent. I mean, if you're really this obsessed with Greenland to where you're willing to fight for them, why would you allow them to become independent of Denmark fully? That doesn't make a lot of sense. But I think a lot of this is just they hate Trump and they don't want him to get more power, basically. Seahawks Patriots, you think? Yeah, the Seahawks Patriots is probably the best bet in terms of the Super Bowl. I think the Rams probably win. But I don't know. Do you really want to rematch Rams Patriots? Remember that Super Bowl like 7 years ago? That was a terrible Super Bowl. I think the Seahawks kind of have a boring offense, honestly. They just run the ball a bunch. The Rams would probably be more fun to see. I mean, you have to say the Patriots because you don't want to see the Broncos. Imagine the Broncos are at home, right? So the Broncos technically have a chance. Imagine it's Sam Darnold versus Jarrett Stidham. That would be terrible. In the Super Bowl? That would have to be a very low-rated Super Bowl, I'll say. Or what do you get, Sam Darnold versus Drake May?
Going to be amazing. I wish the United Nations could do more. I wish we didn't need a board of peace, but the United Nations, and with all the wars I settled, the United Nations never helped me on one war. I mean, I guess I'm not blaming them. I didn't call them to help, but I got, the presidents and prime ministers together. We knocked heads. We got along, and they liked me. I liked them. Every single one of them nominated me for a Nobel Prize. Every one of the wars, among many other people, nominated me for a Nobel Prize. But Putin told me, I cannot believe you got this war settled. I've worked on it for 10 years because it's his territory. Rescued 83 American hostages and citizens detained.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're still doing the alternative halftime. I think they probably still are. I don't know. I don't think that's going to go over very well. They do something like that because it's the Super Bowl and... Like, I understand the entire thing with Bad Bunny. It's stupid. They shouldn't... It's such a dumb reason they're having him host it. It's really anti-American, but... I think they're still doing it. I haven't heard anything about it either. when you say they're using bots. Well, no, they're not. I don't think they're bots. I think it's just fans and the way it happens. It's easy to boost. You know, with Twitter, a lot of it is like the first 5 minutes, how well a tweet does. You want to boost it up as high as possible, so then it'll be recommended to people for you more often. You know, it's all algorithmic. So if a tweet has a lot of attention, a lot of engagement really early on after it's been posted, it's going to get recommended to more people. So it's important to raid the tweet immediately after it gets posted. Then it'll be recommended to more people. And that's just through, you know, whatever his network is on Discord or, you know, Telegram or something, I would imagine. Why do you think no Pacific NATO has been formed? I believe it's a matter of not wanting to completely alienate China in terms of trade or tensions. Do you think we should have one? A Pacific NATO? What specifically designed? Yeah, I mean, obviously that would be an escalation against China. And then you risk the same thing with, I mean, then China would be like, all right, because there's this massive military alliance with all these powerful countries, the United States included, that gives us justification that they're encroaching, that gives us justification to take Taiwan. You could have a situation like that. It's what happened with Russia, Ukraine, with all the other countries then join NATO. But I mean, there already are relationships the United States has with those countries. Maybe it's not specifically Pacific only, but there's already a relationship. I mean, I think the United States would help defend Taiwan, obviously, and that could even be, number one, Taiwan is important for semiconductors, but number two, I mean, we don't want China's power to get that big to where they're, you know, Taiwan is a very important, Taiwan is 1,000 times more important, at least in terms of the mainland production, than Greenland. And obviously the population of Taiwan. Did you hear about Nick Fuentes signing a 7-figure sponsorship deal with precious metals company? Gold and silver prices have gone way up in the past year. No, I didn't really hear about that one. $1 million deal for gold? Yeah, I mean, I see some gold sponsorships by YouTubers. But yeah, I know gold is at like $30 trillion market cap right now. Probably maybe like 28 trillion the last time I saw. Bitcoin is back under 2 trillion. It's been under 2 trillion for a little while. Mexico, I don't think there's much of a chance. I mean, I think there's going to be military action in Mexico, honestly. Mexico is a corrupt country. And they're going to try and fix it, and we'll see if they end up doing it. I mean, they're going to try and fix it through a special operation. Special forces operations in Mexico will commence. He tricked you to ad read. I know who that is. It's that dude comments a lot. It didn't trick me to ad read that. I mean, what even is the cost of an ad on here? It's like nothing. Do you think Pam Bondi will actually pull through on charge? I mean, yeah, who knows, man? There's not a lot of hope with Pam Bondi. She has to do something. There has to be some type of action. She has to know the criticism she's getting is only going to continue to mount. There has to be some charges against. I mean, you can't disrupt a religious service. Now, if they say, well, we have to wait to get the order or to get to get whatever they need, the court order or something, but to arrest, okay, whatever. But there has to be some type of charges. You can't allow these people, these protesters, to walk into a religious service and interrupt it. That's a violation. That's not legal. But the problem is you've got all these jurisdictions that are very liberal. Their courts are very liberal. If we pick a fight with the cartels, can you handle the truth? I don't know what that means. I mean, they would be picking a fight with the cartels to really try and liberate the country at this point. If Dems win midterms, we're done. Yeah, that'd be annoying if they won. Even if they won one of the chambers, it'd be annoying. But unfortunately, it looks like they're gonna win the House. So, yeah, Trump should try and just consolidate as much executive power as possible. That's really my only advice to him at this point. Did Trump give specific reasons why the U.S. needs Greenland? Well, the U.S., yeah, he says for military protection from encroachment, Eastern encroachment. You don't need the House when you have the Army. Yeah, when you have executive authority and you actually flex it, you could get a lot done in just going around Congress altogether. Just don't involve Congress in anything and just ignore Congress, and it's not authoritarian if it's right. Now, I mean, we'll see what happens with it. It's concerning. I mean, I'm not looking forward to the midterms, honestly, because I don't think it's going to go well for the Republicans, but we have the impeachment votes. Imagine the impeachment is for his crypto. I can't wait for that. The cryptocurrency impeachment, that'll be great. Sir, your net worth has gone up by $3 billion because of crypto scams. What? You like most of what President Trump has done, but the crap with Greenland and Venezuela were bad moves. No, I disagree. I disagree with both. I think you can't, not everything, if you're the president, it's not always going to be domestic. There has to be geopolitical stuff that happens. There's going to be geopolitical events. It's sphere of influence. If anything, Venezuela, I think it looks really good for Trump. Now, we'll see if that continues. But right now, I think Venezuela looks very good. Greenland, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. But even buying Greenland, it's going to take many years for it to come to. It's like buying Alaska. Then after you purchase it, people aren't going to immediately say it's the greatest thing ever. It takes time and perspective. Yeah, I saw the Eric Adams coin. I don't know why people bought it. That was one of the worst ones. That coin went to like $200 or $300 million, didn't it? It's just ridiculous. Just stupidest thing ever. Did he get the prices down? Well, the prices, I would say, have stagnated, if anything. I don't know if he's gotten them down. They're not going up they're going up at a much lower rate than they were under Biden. So, that you got to treat that as a plus. I mean, they're stagnating. That's what I would say. The prices. Whatever happened to Trump Mobile? I think they're still probably going to do it. I mean, it's a crappy phone. But we'll see if they can put something out. That's like Eric Trump. Eric Trump will probably put something out on that. Greenland coin has been doing really well. It's doing all right. I think it's at 250K right now. I mean, I'd like it to be a bit higher than that, honestly, man. Because I'm trying to make a decent amount off of it. We need it higher than 250K. I'm hoping with Greenland coin, there's a purchasing agreement, and then that's when it booms. Because normally that's a sell the news, but it's like, I mean, come on. What am I going to sell the coin at 250K? It doesn't make sense. It said release was September 2025. It's been delayed 5 times. Oof. Well, then I doubt it's happening at this point. It's probably not happening if that's the case. Bring back insane asylums, mental asylums. I mean, where else do you put these people? They just end up homeless.
Signed an order that will end birthright citizenship for children of illegal migrants. You know, that case is in court right now. That case was meant for the children of slaves. All you have to do is look at the years. Look at the years where the cases were filed and where the decisions were made. They were right at the end of the Civil War. They're trying to say that, you know, in China's making a big business out of that. They come to the country, they have a child, they're American citizen, they get all the benefits. It had nothing to do with that. That was for the children of slaves. And I hope the Supreme Court so rules. Designated fentanyl as signed an order that will end birthright.
It's cruel to tear down homeless tents without having a place for them to go. I mean, it's even them having tents in the first place, it's got to be solved. I mean, in these cities, it's just you've got to solve it somehow. Maybe it's a public housing, I mean, I don't know, like a hostel or something. Yeah, they still haven't ruled on the Supreme Court whatever the ruling is for the tariffs. I don't think they're going to be ruled legal, but I don't know. Yeah, Trump was talking about it. He said he was going to name the Gulf of America Gulf of Trump as a joke. He said that, but then he's like, no, it's really not a joke. I wanted to do it. They said it wasn't a good idea. So imagine liberals try and change the name back. How cucked do you have to be? Somebody said that liberals were going to try and return Greenland to Denmark if they won. Because they've also said that they're going to knock down the ballroom. Like, how cucked... Do you know Gavin Newsom, I think... Why is Gavin Newsom at the World Economic Forum Switzerland Summit? He's not a world leader. I don't understand what he's doing there. And then he's like, well, I want these European countries to stop. I'm rooting for Europe over the United States. Like, dude, how are you going to get elected president? You're an American governor. You're going to get elected president saying you're openly rooting for European countries in a tariff war or whatever it is versus the United States? Macron's sunglasses to try and act tough. He had like an eye injury, but yeah, it did. It's funny. It's funny to look at.
And while we're at it, we also took the Gulf of Mexico, and now it's the Gulf of America. Because we have 92% of the shoreline. It always bothered me. I'd say, you know, we have most of the shoreline. Mexico has a small percentage, talks about 8%. We have 92%. And I said, why is it the Gulf of Mexico? It should be the Gulf of America. I was going to call it the Gulf of Trump, but I thought that I would be killed if I did that. I wanted to do it. I wanted to. My people work so hard. Sir, I don't think it'll look too good. I'm telling you, it's a good thing. And it'll be hotter than ever, I said. No, but I decided not to do that. I'm joking, you know, when I say that. I was not going to call it the Gulf of Trump. Because tomorrow it'll be, Trump wanted to call it the Gulf of Trump, but he was rebuffed by his people. My people don't rebuff me too much. The Gulf of Trump, that does have a good ring, though. Maybe we could do that. It's not too late. No, we have the
Trump was like, my people don't rebuff me too much, and if they do, they're fired. And then liberals are like, oh, you're a dictator. No, he didn't say that, but that would have been funny if he said that. Yeah, my people don't rebuff me too much, and if they do, they're gonna be fired. They know that. They understand that. Liberals are trying to change the name back. The cucking is crazy. Oh man, the cucking.
We haven't had a boat taken in a little while. Came out of Somalia, really corrupt place. It's not a country. They don't have government. They don't have anything. I always hate to see this. Ilhan Omar, she comes from Somalia, a backward country, probably the worst country. They say it's the worst country in the world, if it's a country. I don't even think it's a country. There's no organization, no anything. They don't have police. They don't have military. They don't have anything. They just have people running around killing each other and trying to pirate ships. But she'll come here, comes, and then she wants to tell us how to run our country. The Constitution says that I am entitled to this. I can't stand her. Terminated all taxes. We haven't had a boat taken in a little while.
Wind chills for Friday. Wow. Negative 47 degrees wind chill. Wisconsin. Would you name the country Gingerland? Nah, I would name it something cool. I wouldn't name it that. Do you think Trump would just keep talking if they let him? He does like to talk. I mean, he talked for like an hour straight before getting to the questions. That's going to be a lot of negative 52 degrees. That's with the wind chill, though. You're going to have negative 28. Yeah, you're somewhere in here. Look at even down here in Kentucky, West Virginia. It's pretty cold. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this live stream. I'm going to end it there. I appreciate everyone for watching and coming out. Yeah, even in Texas, it gets colder when you get this crazy dip in the jet stream. It gets below freezing in a lot of the areas in Texas. All right, guys, I'll see you at the next stream.